Hi, I'm Nick. I've built a lot of 426 Hemis, but this Hemi here let me down. Hi, I'm Nick, and welcome to my shop. You know, I've built a lot of 426 Hemis in my lifetime. Quite a few. Racing, cruising, stock overhauling, restoration projects, genuine Hemis, matching numbers and all. But sometimes they let you down. So let me get into some details. Here I got a 426 Hemi that I'm putting together for Michael from Pennsylvania. He sent me all the pieces, not pistons, okay? Not the pistons. He sent me everything in pieces so I could assemble the engine, dyno test it, and then have it delivered to him later on in the future for a nice, beautiful 68 Hemi Charger that he's gonna restore completely. But in the meantime, I got a Hemi right here in my shop. But this is what we wanted to do. We wanted to build a stock 426 Hemi over 500 horsepower. He wanted to start with his original Carter Hemi carburetors on a factory dual plane stock intake manifold. Then he goes, Nick, you know, I also bought with the Elder Block kit because he's also using Elder Block cylinder heads. He also got this Elder Block intake, which is a single plane. So he's told me, Nick, get the engine on the dyno. Let's get it started with the factory stock intake manifold, and then I want you to try the single plane. And when all that goes well, of course I'm testing those headers. If all that goes well, and with the one with the better intake manifold with more power, we're going to take off the headers and then go to his exhaust manifolds, because he wants to install the Hemi engine with the exhaust manifolds in the car. But before we get all that done, we have to assemble the engine and throw it on the dyno, which we did. We put the engine on the dyno, and you know, I've done a lot of Hemis, but this is going to be the first time I'm taking something with a stock intake versus a single plane. And then after that, we take off the headers and go with the exhaust manifolds. You know, I found it so interesting, I couldn't wait to show it to you guys. I remember when I bought my first Hemi car back in 1974, and I built my first Hemi in 1975, the year after. I've done new pistons, camshafts, and whatever. And you know, I never usually had any problems at all. For example, I got this Hemi here. We take it to 8,000 RPMs quite a few times, quite often. I've never had any issues. But this one here, you know, being a simple engine, just trying to make over 500 horsepower, well, you know what, not all things go well. So let's go in the dining room and I'll show you what went wrong. There is nothing worse than putting a complete engine together, knowing everything is perfect, then you throw it on the dyno and you can't even make two tests, and before you know it, you tear it apart. So let me tell you what happened. Here I am in my dining room having a complete Hemi engine that I assembled for Michael. But before we even get to getting it started, I had an issue with one thing. This is the distributor that Michael supplied me with from Pennsylvania. It's a mechanical tag drive distributor made out of cast iron dual points. And this was tested in Pennsylvania on a Sun machine, up to 6,800 RPMs. So, you know, he told me the distributor was good. So what I did is I installed his distributor with his carburetors on the engine to get it started. So, you know, I looked at everything, it looked pretty good. I installed it on the engine. I put water in the engine. I knew I had my distributor top dead set at the compressor stroke with a few degrees advance. Then I went to crank it over, and before you know it, we had some tremendous backfires right through the carburetors. It's too bad I didn't have George here making a video. This was an early Saturday morning because we wanted to do a video later on. But I just couldn't get it started. I had a backfire here and there, and you know, I was wondering and hoping I didn't want to blow any gaskets. So I said to myself, you know, it's got to be the distributor. So what I did is I removed this mechanical tach drive distributor, and then I went to my electronic distributor. And this is the one I got in stock in my dining room. You know, sometimes you want to do a test. I always use this distributor that I know it works well. I installed it, and before you know it, I turned the I pushed the button, the engine started and ran smooth. No issues whatsoever. We had good oil pressure, good air-fuel ratio, beautiful. So we noticed we had no blown head gaskets, and we just warmed it up, and then we did the timing, everything went well. Then I said, you know what, let me heat soak the engine. We took it up to 5,000 RPMs, no problem. And then we let it cool down. Then we said, okay, the timing is at 34 degrees. Let's make a test. Let's bring it to 6,000. So I set up my computer to go to 6,000 RPM. Got the engine cooling to where I wanted, 160 degrees. Then I warmed it up. Then I said, okay, here it goes. And as we were going up on the RPMs, we were at 4,000, 4.5, 46, 47 RPM. And before you know it, poof, the smoke came out of the breathers or the oil cap. And I said, whoa, 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 what's going on? We did not even hit 5,000 RPM. I said, what's going on here? So we shut it down. I said, uh-oh, we got a mechanical problem. To see smoke come out of the breathers like that, it's got to be a mechanical problem. So I said, you know what? I was here with Manny and my brother. I said, this is going to be a mechanical problem. It's not a carburetor problem. It's not an electronic ignition issue, nothing like that. So we took out the 8 spark plugs and we made a compression test. And we found out cylinder number 1 had 0 compression. Go, what went wrong? That's funny. Did we bend the valve? Did we drop something in the engine that went through the piston, made a hole in it? Didn't make any sense. You know, it just didn't make any sense. I know I had a lot of piston to valve clearance. I knew there was nothing loose in the engine, I'm sure, because when I build engines, I make sure nothing falls in. I was wondering, did a ring break? Did a hole go in the piston? Did a valve bend? Did a head gasket blow from the backfiring from the other distributor? I'm using chromatic gaskets. They don't blow that easy. So what went wrong? So I said to myself, you know what? Let's take off the cylinder head and see what we got. And we noticed that the head gasket wasn't blown. We also noticed that the valve was not bent. So we noticed something very simple. We looked at the piston and look at this. I have never seen anything like it. There's a hole in the piston where the intake valve goes. And if you take a good look, the valve did not hit the piston. And there was nothing loose in the cylinder because then it would have a lot of little dings in it before it got blown out. So we see it's a very clean piston, no scratches. But I'm taking a good look, and I've never seen this before. I think that this piston is very thin. It wasn't machined right, or something was done wrong. I have no idea. And then I'm trying to wonder how did this hole get into the piston? You know, I knew we had some backfires, but I've also had engines in the past that have made backfires, but never put a hole in the piston, especially a forged piston. So this is a very strong piston, being a forged piston. But after so many years experience, I've noticed that this piston, where the punctured a hole in it, it seems very thin. So I suspect that this piston was machined not correctly. In other words, I don't know what they've done, and this is a piston that I did not touch at all. I did not machine it at all. I installed them the way they came from the factory. All I did was balance it to the crankshaft. And I've predict that the piston was too thin. They machined it too thin. For some reason, with a little pressure, it just punctured a hole. And you know, I don't have any tools to measure the thickness of the piston, but according to my experience, this does not look very thick at all. And you know, you're looking for 500 horsepower, that piston should be strong enough to do it very easily. Holding this in my hand, I noticed that the piston, if you look through here from the back, it's hard to see that this side, which is the exhaust valve relief, is a lot thicker than the intake. And the intake is machined a lot more than the exhaust. If you take a look, you can see that. And I noticed that the piston is thicker on this side, looking from the bottom. Now, is it possible that they machined the wrong side? It is possible. So I called JE Pistons to tell them about this issue I have, and they've asked me to send the piston back so they can look at it and see what's going on. But in the meantime, I have it here now. I wanted to show it to my viewers. Yeah, you know what it is? It's aggravation Because, you know, putting an engine on a dyno after you fully assemble an engine. Now, let me ask one thing. Was I supposed to check the thickness of the piston when I buy new pistons? Is it my job? As an engine builder, is that my job? You know, I've built a lot of engines with J pistons, 440s, Hemis. I never had this issue. So, did I predict that these will be these other 7 pistons or these all be thin? I'm not sure, but we'll get to that later on. So in the meantime, building an engine, all new gaskets, putting the time to put it together, materials, oils, gaskets, sealers, and putting it on the dyno, and then you get this issue. You know what? This is not exactly a fun time, you guys. Let me tell you, it's a lot of work. You know, you got to dismantle the engine, take everything apart, get new pistons, rebalance the engine. This is crazy. But it's not a dream garage, like I said in the past, not always. So what do you do in this case? And in this case, I supply the pistons for the customer. So this is all on my shoulders. What do you think? You know, I don't blame the customer at all. It did make some backfires with this distributor, but then again, those pistons should withstand the backfires no matter what. So my job here to do is tear this down, look at the other 7 pistons, and, you know, and see what I'm going to do. But in the meantime, I'm going to go underneath. I'm going to put a camera. I just want to take a look, just for the fun of it, to see if the other pistons are machined in the same way. Like there's a number on this side, on the left, where it's a thin part, which is the intake side, and this is the thicker part. And I'm going to look at that notch, and I want to see, is it by mistake only 1 piston is machined on the wrong side, or all 8 are? I've gone into pistons making notches like I did for the Roadrunner, and usually when I make a notch to give it more clearance between the piston and the valve, what I do is I measure the thickness of the piston. And in many cases, the material where I want to cut to the surface of the piston is always more than 100 thou. So that gives me a chance to put a little groove in it to give me some clearance on the valve. In this case, we did not even touch it at all. And if you take a go look, you know, just with the naked eye, it does not even look more than 50 thou in thickness. So that tells me this is a poor designed piston. Yeah, this sucks, let me tell you that. What a job. You know, this is a complete teardown. You know, here we go. I'm trying to deliver a couple of engines, take in a few more deliveries, tear apart some other engines, get it going. And here I'm trying to finish an engine, and now what I'm doing is tearing it all apart. You know, this time and age, with the CNC machining, this piston should have not happened. This should have not happened. You know, we're not using turbos, we're not using nitrous, they're not supercharged. There's no pressure on this piston. For it to crack a hole in it like this, to blow a hole in it, that's a very, very poor design in my opinion. If they do find a flaw, if the piston, all they're going to do is give you 8 pistons. And then who does all the rest? Myself. And you know, it's aggravation, you guys, let me tell you. And you know, it gets me angry, let me tell you. It makes me very angry. Especially when you put on the dyno and you're ready to deliver the engine. And this is what you get. And sometimes people tell me you lose your cool. This is why I lose my cool. Anyways, I'm going to go underneath right now with the camera just to take a look if the other 7 pistons are in the same place where the machine did. Because this will tell me if I have to remove the other 7 or not. Now, did they make a mistake on one piston or all 8 in the same batch in the same box? One way to find out, let me take a quick look underneath. Okay, here we go. All right, here we go. Let's check for this one here. It has to be down, and here we go. So I'm gonna look at the notch and the numbers being forward in that position towards the lifter valley. And here we go. Oh, there we go. Oh, wow, there's the notch. There's the lettering. Hold on. Yeah, so it looks like this maybe was machined correctly. So let me see if I come down. Where am I going? Where am I going? Where am I going? Okay, here we go. So now, this is on those numbers and that notch is on this side. So this is probably machined correctly. like I said earlier, that this side is the thicker side, which this should have been machined this side with the intake valve. But anyways, so far, that piston looks correct. Wow, I'm really learning something new here today. It is. Wow. You know what? This is the opposite. Let me take a look at this one. Let me turn the crankshaft. I'm checking this one here now. Here we go. Wow, they're turned the other way around. These two look perfect. Now, let's do this one. There we go. Wow, I'm curious. Here we go. Wow. All three have it the opposite. Here. Of course, you gotta be kidding me, right? I noticed that the other three pistons, all the numbers and the notches on this side. So in other words, those three pistons were machined with the thicker side on the intake. So far these are good. Now I gotta look at the other four and we'll take it from there. So this one here is not the same at all from the bottom of the other three. You gotta be kidding me. This one's good. Lettering's on this side. Yeah, this one's good. So far, those four are the same. Wow. Here we go. You gotta be kidding me. You gotta be kidding me. Let's try this one. You see the numbers in the lettering? The notch? It's on the exhaust side. There it is. So this one's good too. Oh, God. Here we go. Next one. Can I see this one? Wow. And now the last one. They're all good. Wow. There we go. Come on, you go. Wow, I just realized something. All the other 7 pistons are correct. I'm the lucky one to find the one piston. Here we go. Wow. I guess I got one bad piston. The other 7 are perfect. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. One piston. No, this is a learning. Next time I get 8 pistons, I gotta turn them upside down and I gotta make sure they're all machined the same way. This is a learning experience. I noticed that those 7 are the opposite of this one. Where the notch is, where it's squared off, is the thicker side. And which is on right now on the top, which is where it's machined most of it for the intake valve. And this one here, for some reason, when they machined it, was on the opposite. So there you have it. I need one piston. All this trouble for one piston. I can't believe this. Can't believe it. So now I know that you can't trust anything you buy anymore. You know? So one thing I gotta learn is it's a learning process. And every time I open up a box of pistons or anything you buy, you gotta look at everything. So just to let you guys know, I've been doing this for so many years. This is the first time I found something like this. And I realized that the other 7 pistons are good. I don't need to remove them. So I'm gonna have to replace that one piston and get it all back together again and start doing my testing. Dream car garage, eh? There it is, you guys. You know, sometimes you find a mistake or somebody else's mistake the hard way. By putting it together, hoping that everything's perfect, by buying from a good source of supply of pistons, and this is what you get. Like I said earlier, I've bought many of these JE pistons, never had any issues with them, or what you call them JE SRP pistons, and it failed on me. Okay, so let me send in that piston and see what they tell me. And wait till I get that piston, put it in. I'm gonna try to get that piston in a rush so I don't have to remove the engine from the dyno. Put it in, put the new head gasket on it, and take it from there. Thanks for watching here on Nick's Garage. And don't forget to subscribe and push that like button. Thanks a lot. And you guys, if you look down below the video, we have a whole bunch of merchandise that you guys can buy. So whatever you like, buy it, love it, wear it, and enjoy it. And help spread the word of Nick's Garage. And if you have some time, check out our Patreon page. We have extra content and you guys can watch it and take it from there. And we'll see you next time.